Now my daisy petals are going to be very, very similar to the daisy center. So we'll do this in the same tab. I'm just going to make this smaller. I'll move it off to the side and we'll do an AI standard surface. Zoom in on this. I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but all of my motions that I'm doing in here are with my Alt key. So this is an Alt middle mouse and this is an Alt right mouse, and I'm sorry that I've forgotten to say that before now. This one's for the daisy petals, so I am going to call this my daisy petal AIS. And I don't think that daisy petals are shiny. Feel totally free to disagree. You can leave specular on, but just do maybe a little bit of it, or you could just leave it fully on. If you think daisy petals are shiny, good for you. Now again, we've got a lot of daisy petals in the scene, tons of daisy petals, and I'd like them all to look just a little teensy tiny bit different, so I'm going to make a color jitter node. And we'll just go out color to base color so that we can see what it's going to do. The input, you can't leave it exactly white. You have to make a decision. Do you want your daisy petals to be maybe slightly, just a teensy bit blue? Just the slightest, teeniest bit. Do you want them to be just the slightest, teeniest bit yellow or pink? You go with whatever color family makes you happy. Yeah, I think I'm going to go like a nice, very, very discreet blue. And again, I'm going to do just a little teensy bit. Maybe we'll do negative 0.02. And this one will be 0.02. So teensy, teensy, tiny little bits of change. Hardly any at all. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select daisy underscore petal. And here I'm going to put in an asterisk because I know that my daisy petals all have numbers. So good on me. I'm going to right click and assign material to viewport selection. And now you should see my daisy petals, and they've all got just a very, very slight, just off white color to them. And that's okay. I'm not angry at it, but I think that a nicer way to make a texture work on a flower petal is not base color, but subsurface color. So once I'm happy with the way the color jitter node is working, maybe I'll rename it. We'll call it daisy petal color. Wait, daisy petal jitter. I'm going to remove it from the base color, and that's going to turn all of my petals black. I'm going to connect it to my subsurface color. So the same way, out color to subsurface color. And then I'm going to come into my daisy petal material, my AI standard surface, because right now I'm connected with my color jitter, but my subsurface isn't doing anything, so I have to go into it and I have to turn its weight all the way up. Now at this point, the effect should be pretty subtle, but what's going to happen is if you look back here, these flowers are going to get a little bit brighter because now as the light passes through that material, it's not all going to go directly to shadow. With this subsurface thing, it's very similar to having a good base color. You can try adjusting things like the scale and see if that gives you a brighter or a darker output. And again, since my render is going, everything I do is going to take a second and make my computer very unhappy. The other thing you can do is you can try different types. Random walk, the default, is usually fine for most things, but sometimes if you try diffusion, you'll get a dramatically different result. Mine turned my flowers black, which is dramatically different, although not what I was hoping for. Let's see random walk 2. Yeah, that's a little better. So if you're not 100% happy with your result on the first try, go ahead and try messing with some things. If you've messed something up totally and you're like, oh, there's no way I can ever get this back, just delete your AI standard surface and make a new one. It's fine, they're easy. You can also try adjusting the radius, although the radius is usually set to white, which is usually just fine. Sometimes throwing a little bit of color in it can help, but most of the time we just leave it alone. So that's what I'm going to do for the daisy petal. Like I said, everything is going to get just like a teensy bit more complicated. So for the center, we learned about the color jitter node and about selecting by name. And then for the petal, we learned a little bit about subsurface and how it can just give your render a little more depth because it'll have the petals react more accurately to light. So I'm going to rename this tab. This is going to be my daisy tab. Go ahead, test a few things out with your daisies, and whenever you're happy, come join me in the next video.